had secured my release from doctor's borders a full year ahead of schedule, driven by a single purpose: to honor the promise I made to Julian I was coming home to marry him. But reality, it seemed, had rewritten our story in my absence. Julian already had a son. Through Alfred, he sent word: "Stay abroad a little longer, it's better if she doesn't return just yet. If she finds out about the boy, she'll make a scene." That's when it struck me, the cruel irony of it all. 3 years ago, he'd looked at me, restless, fiery, too much, and said, "Go work with doctor's borders, temper that spirit of yours, come back steadier, and you'll be the right kind of wife for me." And I did. I became steady, no more storms when things went wrong, no more dramatics. Even my taste in men had shifted. Someone like him didn't move me anymore. But I came back anyway, a carefully chosen gift tucked under my arm, something I thought he'd love. The house was quiet, almost too still. Only an extravagant spray of fresh flowers on the dining table spoke of celebration, their perfume, sweet, heavy, hung in the air. Then, from the garden, laughter, cheers, glasses clinking. Step by step, I moved toward the sound, drawn like a ghost to a life I no longer recognized. A man's voice, teasing, carried clearly through the open French doors. "Julian, you're a lucky man. That boy's got your looks, and your wife, she's stunning." I stopped. The world narrowed to that sentence, those words. Your wife, your son. And in that moment, everything I thought I knew, everything I'd believed in, shattered. Enjoying the story? Subscribe to this channel, and let us know where you're listening from in the comments below. Walking further, I saw Julian. He was holding a baby, and a petite woman was clinging to his arm. Yes, I am very blessed, but most importantly, Chloe has worked so hard. His eyes were filled with tenderness as he stroked the woman's hair beside him. She covered her mouth, chuckling softly, her eyes radiating happiness. The family of 3 looked incredibly enviable. I stood there stunned, watching them like a mouse spying from the shadows behind them. A banner hung on the wall: Finn's welcome celebration. Finn, I remembered, once playfully hugging Julian and saying, "Julian, I want to have a son with you someday." And well, Finn? He asked why, and I smiled brightly. Finn, it signifies a year of good fortune. I want our child to be lucky. Every year, and now H's child with another woman was named Finn. Oh, right. Julian, Luna must be returning home soon, isn't she? Aren't you worried she'll make a scene when she sees your father? One of Julian's friends asked. Julian gently stroked the baby's cheek in his arms. I almost forgot until you mentioned it. With that, he immediately made a cell phone call, saying, "Tell to stay abroad a little longer, it's best. If she doesn't come back, if she discovers I have a son, she'll definitely make a scene." My breath caught, and I took a step back too. Julian had asked me to become a doctor's borders volunteer 3 years ago. He believed I was too impulsive, crying at every setback and making a fuss whenever I saw him with another woman. He told me then, "It's not that I don't like you, I just think your personality is too unstable, not suitable to be my wife. How about this? Go work for doctor's borders for 3. Temper your character. Once you're more stable, you'll be a suitable wife for me." I trusted his words and dedicated myself to studying, applying to join doctor's borders. The day my application was approved, I was overjoyed. I thought once I endured these 3 years, I could finally be Julian's wife. But now that I was back, he was a father snapping back to reality. Tears were streaming down my face. More appeared the more I wiped. "I really don't want her to come back," Julian said casually, reaching out to interlock fingers with the woman beside him. "From now on, I only want to be with Chloe, to hold her hand and grow old together. How romantic. It makes me want my girlfriend to have my baby." Others cheered. "So, Julian, have you thought about how you'll explain things to Luna?" At the mention of my name, his face immediately turned cold. "I never planned for her to return." He then lowered his head to comfort the woman beside him. "Alfred will handle everything, don't worry. You'll always be the only one by my side." Snowflakes suddenly began to fall from the sky. They landed on my nose, chilling me to the core. 3 years ago, on the day I left, I pulled Julian aside and asked, "Julian, when I come back, will you really marry me?" He ruffled my hair, his voice as gentle as water. "Of course I will. By then, you'll have become very stable. Don't worry. I'll wait for you. You'll always be the only one by my side." But now I had become stable, and he was with another woman. Why? Why did he deceive me? My chest ached and tears fell uncontrollably. In Afghanistan, while treating the wounded under artillery fire, I still held on to the thought, I must survive, only then can I marry Julian, so I applied to return home a year early, and today I finally did. I had intended to surprise Julian instead. He surprised me first. I heard Julian bought a cruise ship and is going to have his wedding with Chloe on it. Someone walked past discussing, and I quickly hid behind a tree. Oh my gosh, I'm so envious. But what about Luna? Didn't she love Julian the most? You don't know? 3 years ago, Julian tricked her into going abroad to work for Doctor's Borders. It's not even certain if she'll come back alive. Julian just wanted to be with Chloe, but he was afraid Luna would make a scene, so he did that. So, as soon as she left the country, Julian immediately got together with Chloe. Their words felt clearly into my ears. It turned out Julian had planned all this 3 years ago, and I foolishly had believed him. The conditions abroad were incredibly harsh, yet I didn't feel it was difficult because I thought that if I persevered, I could come back and marry him. The group walked past, offering Julian their blessings. Suddenly someone teased, "Julian, Luna has loved you for so many years. Can you really bear to let her work as a doctor under such harsh conditions abroad?" Julian didn't even lift an eyelid, his gaze fixed on his son. "She loved me. I didn't love her if it weren't for the fact that she's my father's adopted daughter, and he's so fond of her. I would have cut ties with her long ago. As you know, she's 7 years younger than me. It was impossible for me to like her. She's been clinging to me all these years, for I was 16, just starting high school when I was adopted by the youth family. Julian was already 23 then, having just graduated from college. He came from a good family, was handsome, and many girls flocked around him. Every time I would feel jealous and find him saying, "Julian, can you please not get so close to other girls?" Julian would just laugh and ruffle my cheek. "Luna, I'll do whatever you say." Teenage thought this was love, so I constantly sought to be near him, learning his hobbies, trying to become the person he would like. When I turned 18, I wore a sexy dress and high heels for the first time at a banquet. A rich young man merely spoke a few words to me. Julian then dragged me into the restroom and forcefully kissed me. His eyes, dark beneath his fringe, stared intently as he pressed his forehead against mine and said, "You are mine." He had been the one to give me hope from the beginning, showing in every way how much he liked me. But now he claimed I was the one who had been clinging to him. I left disappointed and couldn't hold back my tears as I reached the door, my hand trembling. I took out my cell phone and opened WhatsApp. The latest message was from Julian. "Luna happy." At that moment, I was still trying to save a pregnant woman covered in blood, having been awake for over 24 hours, but seeing his message filled me with renewed energy. Wiping away my tears, I initiated a voice call to him. "5 Luna, what's wrong?" On the other end of the line, Julian's voice was as gentle as ever. He must have found a quiet place to answer the phone, because it had rung for a long time before he picked up. I wanted to speak, but my mind was filled with the image of him holding the baby and standing with that other woman. Luna. He spoke again. He had always called me Luna, and I used to love that nickname, but now I suddenly found it repulsive. "Julian, I'm home if." Listened closely. There was a slight tremor in my voice, but didn't detect my distress. He paused for 2 seconds on the other end, then said, "You're home. Why are you back? Where are you now? I'll come pick you up." My heart had already shattered when I saw that scene in the garden, but now he was acting so gentle again. "I'm at the doorstep," I replied softly. "Julian bought this house for me when I was 18. He told me then, no matter who Luna ends up with in the future, this house will always be my woman." Julian's woman must have her own foundation, but now he and another woman were living in this house, and they even had a child. 6 By the time Julian came out, I had composed myself. He walked over step by step on the accumulated snow, his eyes filled with apparent concern. As he drew near, he pulled me into a hug, his warm breath caressing my ear. "Luna, 3 years apart. You've gotten so thin." A peach-scented fragrance wafted into my nostrils. His scent had changed. He used to smell faintly of tea. I recoiled from his touch, pushing him away. His pupils constricted for a moment. Then he smiled. "Our has grown up. She knows about boundaries between men and women now, but I'm your future husband. So please don't be distant with me, okay?" He used to be a beacon of light in my heart. The reason I say this is because I was very introverted when I first came to the U family. I was often bullied at school. Once after school, I was cornered in an alley and beaten. Julian appeared suddenly. He drove a Maybach, cornering those bullies. Then he got out of the car and pulled me behind him. I'll never forget how he coldly told them, Luna is my sister. If anyone dares to bully her again, I won't let them get away with it. But now, I found him so unfamiliar. He had the exact same face as before, but I no longer felt that familiar flutter in my heart. Julian reached out to touch my face, and I noticed the ring on his ring finger. It used to be bare. I'm tired. Can I go home and rest first? I lowered my gaze, staring at his face. 7 Panic immediately flickered in Julian's eyes. Okay, but we have guests at home. Today my friend just became a father, and there was nowhere else to host Finn's welcome celebration. So they came to our house. You don't mind, do you? I used to think he was a godlike figure. He always appeared in time whenever I was bullied. He always handled things calmly. Whenever I felt unwell one winter, we went out to buy firecrackers together and encountered a couple arguing. The boyfriend had cheated on the girlfriend by going out with other women. Julian then told me, Luna, when you look for a man in the future, you need to be discerning. Find someone who lives up to your Julian as a role model. I would never deceive anyone, but now his mouth was full of lies. Perhaps I truly had become stable. As I didn't even want to expose him, I wanted to see how long he could keep deceiving me. I don't mind. Julian smiled when he heard this. He tried to take my hand, but I dodged him. A flicker of surprise crossed his eyes. Then he gave a self-coming laugh. You're distant with me now. It's okay. I'll always be with you and help you go back to how you used to be. But deep down, I knew I could never go back to how I used to be. 3 years ago, he tricked me into going abroad to work for Doctors' Borders. I witnessed so much life and death, experienced seeing a child smile at me 1 second, only to see her become a cold corpse the next. It was then I realized I needed to cherish time, because you never know whether tomorrow or an accident will come first. So now I didn't want to waste my time on someone who wasn't worth it. Julian didn't take me to the master bedroom where I used to sleep, but led me to the guest room. He explained, my friend is concerned about appearances. He told outsiders this is his house, so he's temporarily staying in the master bedroom. After things settle down in a few days, I'll have Alfred clean the room thoroughly, and you can move in. Okay, I put down my bag. He looked at me for a few seconds, then added, I suppose you don't like overly lively scenes. Either you can rest well here. I'll go attend to things. 8 after left, I took a stone out of my pocket. Engraved on it in English were the words peace and joy. A little boy gave it to me when I was working in Africa. His parents had both died, leaving him alone with his dark hands. He handed me the stone and said in English, Sister, this is for you. You can give it to someone you love, so they'll be safe and happy always. I took it and was about to get up to give him some candy, but the next second he was shot in the head and collapsed in front of me. I cried hysterically. At the time I wanted to save him, but my colleagues pulled me away. Snapping back to reality, I opened the guest room door and carefully examined the house. I had been so caught up in my excitement earlier that I'd forgotten to observe the house now bore the traces of another woman. There were women's towels and skincare products in the bathroom, and on the coffee table were fresh flowers, baby bottles, and children's toys. After seeing these, I walked towards the master bedroom. I used to live there, and Julian had decorated it exactly to my liking. My hand had just touched the doorknob when a woman's voice interrupted me. Are you Luna? 9. I turned around and saw the woman Julian had called Chloe standing behind me. She was still a bit plump, wearing a loose dress, but her eyes were very beautiful. Large and bright, she looked very gentle and capable. And when I was practicing medicine, many people would ask if I was Luna. I would always answer firmly, I am. It had probably become a profession. She scrutinized me. Hen suddenly sneered. Julian hasn't told you yet, has he? I'm his fiancée, Ma. We already have a son. My heart acted subtly, but now I could hide my emotions. I know, and you still came home. She glared at me fiercely. This isn't your home anymore. You're just an outsider. She lunged forward, intending to hit me, but I caught her hand. You've only just had a baby. You shouldn't get so agitated. It's not good for your health. Hearing my words, her eyes widened in shock. For some reason, I couldn't bring myself to hate her because I didn't think she had done anything wrong. She was just afraid I would steal the man she loved. Don't worry, I said. Although Julian and I had an engagement, he now has a child. I won't bother him anymore. As soon as I finished speaking, she suddenly shoved me hard, then plopped down onto the floor. I'm sorry, it's my fault. I shouldn't have stolen your Julian. Luna, what are you doing? Julian's voice boomed from behind me. Then I felt a harsh shove, followed by a stinging slap across my face. My vision blurred. Julian's figure appearing and disappearing before my eyes, his voice, however, echoed clearly in my ears. So, what if Chloe is my fiancée Mal? So what if we have a son? She's gentle and generous, unlike you, who only cries and makes a fuss when things happen and resorts to such tactics to bully people. Luna, you truly disgust me. I'll give you 3 seconds. Apologize to Chloe now. My vision gradually cleared, and I saw Julian holding Chloe tightly, standing in front of me. His eyes were so cold, filled with disdain for me. Downstairs, people were still watching us, murmuring in discussion. Wow, Luna actually came back. She's changed so much. Her hair is longer, and she's thinner. I feel like her whole demeanor has changed. She's not that immature young girl she used to be once. Abroad, I was shot in the leg. Because there were no anti-inflammatory drugs available at the time, I faced extreme life danger, but I had read books on traditional Chinese medicine before, and relying on my memory, I found herbs and cured myself. At that time, I thought if Julian heard about this, he would surely think I was brave, but now, he wasn't the Julian I used to love. During every break, I would take Julian's photo out of my bag and look at it. My colleagues would tease me. Luna, you're so calm and composed in the face of things. The man you love must be truly exceptional. Yes, I loved Julian's excellence. I loved his confidence when dealing with clients, his calm and collected demeanor when facing problems. I could learn from him. He could guide me forward. But now, at this moment, I truly realized I no longer loved Julian. 10. I didn't push her. I said to Julian. She fell herself. Do you think I'd believe that? I saw it with my own eyes. Julian's voice was furious. I know you're upset because you found out she and I have a child, aren't you? Luna, do you know why I don't like you? Because I hate how despicable and disgusting you are. I suddenly laughed. Julian, do you know how many children, how many people in disaster-stricken countries need us, doctors, borders, volunteers, to save them? I truly regret returning home for you. My time should be spent on more important things. With that, I turned and left directly. This time, I didn't shed any tears for him. The girl who used to only cry and follow him had grown up. In fact, I should thank him. If he hadn't deceived me, I wouldn't be who I am now. Just then, I received a cell phone call from Uncle. He was Julian's father. Luna, are you coming home? Once you're back, you can be my daughter-in-law. My heart skipped a beat. The fact that Uncle would say this meant he didn't know Julian was already with someone else. Cough, cough. He coughed twice on the other end of the line. My health isn't what it used to be. I'm just waiting to see you two get married. Now his words made me swallow what I want to say. Life is short. After all, I didn't want to make him unhappy, but if I didn't tell him, he would find out eventually. So I decided to tell him about breaking off the engagement in person. I told him, Uncle, I'm already home. I'll come see you tomorrow, 11. After checking into the hotel, I sat by the floor-to-ceiling window holding a cup of hot milk. This was Riverton, the city where Julian used to love bringing me to this hotel. He said you could see the entire Riverton night view from here. I had given him a gold locket. Then I told him, Julian, this gold locket has been with me since childhood. My orphanage director told me my parents left it for me as a symbol of safety. Now I'm giving it to you, hoping you'll always be safe and sound. Thinking of this, I called Julian asking for the gold locket back. He sounded annoyed. Chloe is in the hospital with a fever, and it's all your fault. I'm not in the mood to discuss anything else with you. Come here and apologize to her. Immediately I went anyway, not because I wanted to apologize to Chloe, but because I wanted to see what was actually wrong with her. I bought some tonics and brought them along. Pushing open the hospital room door, I saw Julian feeding. They looked very affectionate and intimate. The sight still pained me a little, but not as much as it would have before I walked in, and Julian looked up at me. Apologize to your sister-in-law and this matter will be over. You can come back home to live afterward. The man who once said he would marry me was now telling me to call another woman my sister-in-law. I found it utterly ridiculous. Julian, please step out. I want to speak to your sister-in-law alone. He seemed reluctant to leave. I added, don't worry, I won't hurt her. 12 after left. I looked at the woman lying in the hospital bed. Let me check what's wrong with your body. She seemed resistant, but I said, I'm a doctor. I wouldn't harm you. On the way here, my friend had called me. She told me that her name was Chloe, and she started as Julian's assistant. They had been very close until she gave birth to his son. This year only. Then did Julian decide to marry her. Otherwise, Julian wouldn't have married her. Honestly, I felt a bit sorry for her. It's nothing serious, just a cold snapping back to reality. I told Chloe, I remember you were wearing a dress last time it's snowing heavily in Riverton now, so you should still pay attention to keeping warm, not just looking good. With that, I offered her the tonics I had bought you lost a lot. Of vitality after childbirth, these are carefully selected good for your health. Hearing my words, her pupils slowly constricted, then she cursed at me. Luna, are you crazy? I'm your rival. I don't love Julian anymore. I came here today to tell you not to worry about me every day. I won't compete with you. I'm going to break off my engagement with Julian soon. And then you two can be together openly. What did you say? Julian suddenly walked in. Sounding surprised, I turned to look at him. Smiling gently, I've moved on from you. I just wanted to tell you that I'm breaking off our engagement so you and your wife can be together openly. Julian was stunned. After a long moment, he finally said, I'm happy you feel that way. 13. I thought Julian would be overjoyed to hear about breaking off our engagement, but he didn't seem as happy as I'd expected. As I prepared to leave, he stood up and offered to see me off. There was a 24-hour convenience store downstairs from the hospital. I remembered how every winter he and I would go to such convenience stores to eat hot soup. Want some hot soup? Julian suddenly asked me. I looked into his eyes and slowly nodded. He immediately went to buy me a cup of hot soup, and we sat together in front of the glass door, watching the heavy snow outside. Steam rose from the hot soup. I blew on it, then suddenly heard him say in my ear, Did that slap hurt badly? I turned to look at him. Noticing his eyes were a little red, I chuckled. No, it didn't hurt. I've experienced much worse pain abroad than this. Luna, you've really grown up. Isn't it better that I've grown up? That way you and Uncle don't have to worry. Oh, right, Julian, let's break off the engagement tomorrow afterward. I'm going back to work for Doctor's Borders. You're leaving again? He looked at me in surprise. Remembering what he had said in the garden earlier, I felt his current demeanor was somewhat hypocritical. Yes. I found those 3 years abroad incredibly fulfilling. I love that kind of life. He lowered his gaze. I'm sorry, Luna, I deceived you. I was just afraid you'd make a scene. Julian, all of that is in the past. I wish you and your wife all the best for the future. Then will you still come to our wedding? Number 14. After finishing the hot soup, I prepared to leave. Julian suddenly asked me, You're over me so quickly? I found his question baffling, but I still answered him. Julian, you once said you like someone stable. I become stable. And at the same time, my taste has changed. I don't like someone like you anymore, whether it was my imagination or not. I thought I saw a flicker of sadness in his eyes. I turned and left. The next day, Julian and I agreed to go back to the family estate together to break off the engagement. I hadn't been back to the family estate in 3 years. I remembered I used to live there, and every weekend, Julian would take me to play golf at the golf course. Sometimes he would even take me for a barbecue. Those days really made me happy. Julian arrived with Chloe and their son, Finn. I saw the gold locket I had given Julian. It was now on Finn. Uncle looked at Julian and Chloe in surprise. You too? I quickly spoke up. Uncle, I'm here today to tell you that Julian and I are breaking off our engagement. He already has someone he loves and a child. Uncle Y flew into a rage, picking up his cane to hit Julian. You scoundrel, how dare you betray Luna? I stopped him, holding the cane. Uncle, Julian and I have talked everything through. He now has someone he loves and a child, and I no longer love him, so I'm breaking off our engagement. Julian remained silent, only looking at me. Finally, Uncle sighed. Oh, Luna, you've been wrong. Julian will definitely regret it later, losing such a good girl like you. Julian immediately said, I won't regret it. 15. After explaining things to Uncle, I went to my old room to get my belongings. After I was done, I met Chloe today. She was wearing a thick down jacket and fluffy pants. Her gaze no longer held hostility. She walked towards me step by step and extended her hand, a gold locket resting in her palm. Last time I heard you asking Julian for the gold locket. He wouldn't give it to you, so I secretly took it for you. I was very surprised. She smiled. Luna, you are truly a wonderful girl. You've touched me. Actually, I'm not with Julian because I love him. I only want money. Once I have the money, I want to see the world. You've made this possible for me, and I'll repay you. I took the gold locket. You're a good person. 2. I put the gold locket in my bag, and after bidding farewell to Uncle, prepared to leave, but I encountered Julian in the garden. He was watering some plants, but the plants were all withered. He stopped his actions when he saw me. Do you remember this place? You used to tell me you wanted it filled with roses. Luna, if you're not in a hurry, you could come to my wedding with Chloe. I thought his words were very Strange he wasn't making sense. I took out my cell phone and checked the time. I've already booked my flight. I won't be coming back. I paused, then added, I don't like roses anymore. I used to like roses because of him, because I discovered he loved roses. I changed my own preferences to say I don't hate Julian. Is it possible I waited for him for 3 years only for the result to be him with someone else? I only hate him because he gave me a promise and then broke it. So before I left, I couldn't bring myself to say, I wish you happiness. 16. I rejoined Doctors' Borders, a process that took me 3 months. This time it was for medical support in a small town in Africa. As I was preparing to depart, I ran into a familiar face. It was Caleb, a classmate from my university days. He was wearing a black windbreaker and a black baseball cap, walking towards me. Long time no see. Luna. I remembered first meeting him at a cat cafe outside of school. He was holding a kitten, his eyes red. I asked him what was wrong, but he wouldn't say. Eventually, I assumed he had lost a kitten, which was why he was crying. So I gave him a cat. Caleb, what are you doing here? I exclaimed in surprise. He smiled brightly, revealing white teeth. I finally managed to get my application approved to join Doctors' Borders. From now on, we're colleagues on the way to Africa. The roads were rough and our car was very bumpy. Caleb handed me a mint candy. Eat this, it helps with motion sickness. I took it and ate it. A cool, refreshing taste spread in my mouth. He asked about my recent life. I told him everything. I didn't think there was anything to hide, including the matter with Julian. These were life experiences, not shameful secrets, and after 3 years of working for Doctors' Borders, I now immediately speak my mind about anything without holding back, because I'm afraid if I don't say it this time, I might not get another chance. After listening, he gently patted my back. I'll always be with you from now on. I wasn't sure what he meant. It wasn't until we reached our destination that a colleague told me he had spent 4 years trying to work with me. He had been continuously applying, continuously trying to get closer to me. Hearing this, I instantly understood Caleb's intentions. I was shocked that he would spend 4 years for me. Why would he like me? Julian hated me. Why would he like me? I didn't ask him, choosing to pretend I knew nothing. That night I couldn't sleep, so I walked out of my tent to look at the stars. Unexpectedly, Caleb was also sitting outside. Seeing me, he offered me a mint candy. I said I didn't eat candy at night. He smiled. Got it? I paused, then sat beside him. He said to me, Luna, do the stars in the sky remind you of us right now? We both know where the other is, but we just can't get close. I understood what he meant, but I didn't know how to respond. I could only change the subject. The stars are really beautiful tonight. Let's take a photo together. I took out my cell phone and took pictures with him. His first reaction was to ask me to send them to him. After sending them, I returned to my tent. After some thought, I decided to post them on social media. He wasn't just my colleague, he was also my classmate working here. Our lives were constantly at risk, so I wanted to record it because there might not be time. Later the next morning, I received a cell phone call from. He asked, who's the man in your social media photo? I found it laughable. What right did he have to ask me? The day I left, I had already severed ties with him in my heart. Julian, it's none of your business, is it? He was very surprised. Julian, I said, even though we were amiable when I left, I still hate you. I hate you for breaking your promises, and I hate you for deceiving me. Please don't ever contact me again. I immediately hung up and blocked him. 17. The days that followed were incredibly busy. Caleb and I were constantly treating different casualties. Artillery fire was a constant threat, but he always managed to spot it in time, pulling me to safety. One day, I had just finished bandaging an infant's wound. A short while later, Caleb carried her back in. Her home had been hit by artillery fire, and so a vibrant young life was extinguished. I cried my heart out, and Caleb held me tight. He kept whispering in my ear, don't cry, I'm here, I'll always be with you. Suddenly, I pushed him away and asked, do you love me? He paused, surprised. Yes, then let's be together in this war-torn country. I was afraid he'd never voice his feelings, and I didn't want him to have any regrets. I didn't want any regrets either, especially since I'd never been in a real relationship. Hearing my words, he was so overwhelmed with emotion that he hugged me again. Soon, news of more casualties came from outside, and we wiped away our tears, splitting up to treat different patients in this whirlwind of activity. I forgot about Julian. I forgot everything. My only thought was to save as many lives as we could. One day we finally caught a breath. Our colleagues picked a bouquet of fresh flowers for Caleb and me, saying they wanted to hold a wedding ceremony for us because, as they put it, we're heading to even more dangerous places next, and we don't want you two to have any regrets. So, witnessed by countless injured and our fellow colleagues, Caleb and I had a simple wedding ceremony. He kissed me and said, "Luna, I will always love you." Our colleagues took pictures of us, and I posted on social media. I also gave Caleb a gold locket. I wanted it to keep him safe and sound. Just then, I received a call from a friend. She said, "Let me tell you something funny. On the day Julian and Chloe were supposed to get married, neither of them showed up. Chloe stole Julian's money and ran off to another city while Julian went abroad. It was hilarious. I've never heard of such a bizarre wedding." I just listened, then told her, "Willow, cherish your time and cherish the people around you." 18 Caleb and I continued our relief efforts since our wedding. I rarely saw him. He was treating casualties on one side, and I was on the opposite. One day, after finishing a rescue, I was covered in sweat and about to drink some water when I saw someone I never expected. Julian. He had actually come here. I didn't know how he got here. When I saw him, I told him to get lost. I didn't want to see him, didn't want him to disrupt my current life, but he held out his hand to me. "You stole my gold locket. Give it back." I found it amusing. "It's mine, and I have every right to take it back." With that, I stood up to leave. He grabbed my hand. "Luna, you don't take back things you've given away. Give it back to me now. The gold locket no longer belongs to you." Just as I finished speaking, a new casualty was brought in. I rushed to help while Julian just stood there watching. In a frantic moment, I yelled at him, "Go get me the high-stick tools quickly." 19 When I had a moment, I took Julian to a relatively safe spot. Some things were better clarified. He looked at me, and there was even a hint of admiration in his eyes. "Luna, you've really grown up now. You don't rely on me anymore. I saw you treating the injured just now. You were truly incredible. It seems sending you to join Doctors' Borders was the right decision after all. Julian, do you think this is your credit?" I looked at him. It was my own perseverance that made me grow up. 3 years ago, I had just graduated, a naive young girl who knew nothing when I first started working. I couldn't adapt to anything. Every day, I saw hundreds, even thousands of people die before my eyes. I had to maintain my composure to treat others. I cried until I broke down every day, but I kept thinking that if I just persevered for 3 years, I could go home. But when I returned home, I saw you with someone else, and you even ordered Alfred not to let me return. Hearing my words, he was completely stunned, a look of surprise entering his eyes. I was wrong before. I thought you were so much younger than me, that we weren't suitable, so I forced myself to be with someone else. But after we were together, I realized the one I loved was actually you. I couldn't stop myself from loving you. "Luna, come back with me. Don't stay here. It's too dangerous." I scoffed. "Now you're talking about danger. Where were you before, Julian?" "The biggest regret of my life was falling in love with you, but thankfully, I don't love you anymore. I have a better man by my side now, and we're married." "What did you say?" He was utterly shocked. "How could you possibly have time for romance here? You must be lying to me. He's my comrade, and he's the man I deeply love. He inspires me to move forward and gives me a sense of stability in this war-torn place." "Julian, just go. I truly don't love you anymore." His eyes instantly re-ened, and he shook his head frantically. "Impossible, impossible." I left immediately. Every second here was precious, and I didn't want to waste it on him. 20 The next day, Caleb and I met up because we needed to move locations. His face was smudged with black, and I smiled as I wiped it clean. "You look like a mess." Just as I said that, Julian suddenly emerged from a tent, his face filled with sorrow. "Luna, didn't you used to love me so much?" Caleb recognized him and immediately pulled me into his embrace. "Mr. You, Luna is my wife. You're not worthy." Julian growled fiercely. "Luna is mine. She's been in love with me since she was a teenager. We even promised to get married." "And did you marry her?" Caleb's words silenced him. Caleb continued, "Actually, you're the one who's unworthy of Luna. You couldn't even be sure of your own heart. That makes you a mess. Luna no longer belongs to you." I smiled at Julian. "Julian, go home. We're completely over." "No, that's not right. We never even started, so it's not an. And let's just say, stop pursuing me. I don't like you." Caleb is the only one I love. I had loved Julian for 10 years. If I hadn't come out here to be a Dr. Borders, I probably would have been a love-struck fool my entire life. I was grateful that I had persevered, and I was also grateful that he had deceived me. 3 years later, Caleb and I withdrew from Doctors' Borders. Over these 3 years, We had saved countless injured people. Both he and I had suffered many injuries once. Artillery fire exploded so close to him that he almost lost his life in that moment. I swore that if both of us were still alive 3 years later, we would leave. Life was still long, and Caleb and I deserved to have a life of our own. We settled in a city where the weather was warm all year round, and we officially registered our marriage. From time to time, I scrolled through my social media. It held our first photo together and pictures of our wedding in Africa. I would forever cherish those beautiful memories. Julian sighed. On my way back from Africa, I met a little girl. She was playing with a stone inscribed with peace and joy. I was surprised because I had secretly seen this stone in Luna's luggage after I hid her that day. She came to the hospital again, so I found someone to secretly go to the hotel and discovered this stone. I asked the little girl how she got it. She said an older sister gave it to me. She said she wished me peace and joy in the future. Did she say where the stone came from? She did. She said a little boy gave it to her, and she originally wanted to give it to the person she loved. But she said that person had changed his mind. Those words struck my heart like a dagger. So all that time Luna had wanted to be with me. What was I doing then? I remembered I was flirting and being intimate with Chloe, and I had a child, and I told her I loved her the day Chloe left. She had left me a letter. She only left one sentence. Julian, you scumbag, you lost a really, really good girl. Of course, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about Luna. She loved you so much. She was so wonderful. Yet you betrayed her. Thinking of this, I broke down crying. Suddenly an artillery shell landed, and I lost both my legs. When I woke up again, I was already home. My father looked at me coldly. You were the one who didn't want Luna, and now you go looking for her. See, heaven is punishing you. I broke down looking at my empty pant legs. I couldn't accept it. I couldn't accept it. Luna used to love me so much. She was always tagging along behind me. Julian, I want to eat hot soup. Julian, please don't be so close to other women, okay? Julian, I like you. In truth, I had already regretted it when she returned home. When I saw her, I couldn't control my heart. I could only pretend not to love. Hearing that she wanted to break off our engagement, my heart ate, but I couldn't show it. When she left, I desperately wanted her to stay, but she didn't. I kept thinking that she used to be so jealous if I even spoke to another woman, so she would surely come back and make a scene when Chloe and I got married. But on the day Chloe and I got married, she didn't come. I thought about it for a long time, and finally I had to go find her. I saw her treating people, and she was truly amazing. I saw the man she loved in that moment. I finally understood what she meant when she said her tastes had changed. It wasn't that her tastes had changed. It was that I was no longer worthy of her. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.